What's going on, guys? This is King Orange here, back again for another video. I know it's been quite a bit since I've made my last video. A lot has tied me down between college and everything else, and honestly, for the past while, I haven't really had as much of a desire to make videos, just because right now there hasn't really been much positive things to talk about. And ultimately, much of that has been pertained to just the state of gaming right now, the state of a lot of franchises I've come to love, and for this particular video that's kind of directed at Halo Infinite. At the time of this video being made, this is around right after the time they made their announcement that their split screen co-op for the campaign is essentially being canceled. And oh boy, do I have a lot to say about that. But before I go on all of that, I think it's best for me to sum up much of my opinions on Halo Infinite, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not going to make a review of this game. I'm probably just gonna make a retrospective of it later on. So, alrighty, let's just kind of get to the chase. The campaign was alright. It was kind of it was alright. It wasn't like amazing, but it was good. It was decent enough. It was a fun experience. It was much better than Halo 5. But yeah, that's about it. The multiplayer had really fun gameplay and all that sweet jazz, but once again suffered the issues of both a poor progression system and a lack of content. Oh gee, I wonder where I've heard these issues before. It's not like 343 couldn't had already made a game where those were the exact complaints that came out around 7 years ago. Yeah, it's not like that could have been a thing. And now we're over 8 months since launch, and so far the game is still lackluster in content. We still have no Forge, no Infection, no Griffball, no file share, no community custom browser, the theater is still broken as far as I'm aware, and no co-op. And now, not only have there been continuous delays of any semblance of actual real content, but to add to it, they literally announced that split screen co-op is literally pretty much canceled. And before people go in the comments and say, oh, well, they just said it wouldn't release anytime soon, blah, 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 that it essentially means canceled. Anytime someone can't give a decisive date on when something's going to be done, especially when it's just the saying is not anytime soon, that is pretty much saying that it's just not going to realistically happen. And I would know, because I've made that mistake many times with my channel. So, but the difference is that I'm not being paid millions of dollars to live up to promises. 343, on the other hand, is. And after everything that's happened between their mistakes with Halo 4, Halo 5, Master Chief Collection, to a lesser degree Halo Wars 2, and everything else, Halo Infinite was it. This was the game that I was always cautious about it, but I held a sense of optimism that if they were gonna get it, if they were gonna truly understand what it meant to make a real good Halo game, that this would be it. Because on the surface, it seemed like they had a lot right. You know, the art style was good. They delayed the game an extra year to get the graphical fidelity under control after the disaster that was the 2020 E3 reveal. And then it's like, you know, they did a campaign that, yes, while it wasn't particularly amazing, did at least try some interesting things and whatever else. But then, yet again, the game lacks content, has barely any support going for it, and the only thing 343 keeps offering as answers to our questions, if they give us anything at all, is just more excuses. And at this point, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of dealing with 343 making these excuses, and more importantly, I'm so tired of people making excuses for them. Because here's the thing, I'm not one of those 343 haters that was like out to get them. I never was. I stuck by Halo for a very long time. Halo 4, I actually was fairly optimistic about. Yeah, because to me, the campaign was incredible. And even in hindsight, even though it's not as good as I remember it, it still had a good story that I looked forward to seeing where the direction of the series would go. And while the multiplayer wasn't really good, since it was essentially a COD ripoff, it was their first entry, and I kind of could understand why they thought that would have been a good route to go in. But after everything that happened, I thought, okay, they learned. They can move forward. Halo 5 comes out, and I really don't want to have to get into everything Halo 5 does wrong again. If you want to see many of my opinions on that, you can just watch my earlier videos on this channel. And, 6 years, same thing with Halo Infinite, where this time I'm a lot more cautious. I'm not as, blind to the hype as I was with Halo 5, but I was still hopeful. I still thought to myself, okay, maybe Halo Infinite would have a chance in being a pretty good thing. And, 343 does a good job of tricking you at first. They do a good job at making you think, holy crap, Halo's back, it's truly back to its glory days. And then they don't support it. They birthed this child, but then they didn't give it any formula. And essentially just left it in a trash bin to die. That's what it feels like. And I'm just so tired of dealing with that, because after all this time of giving support and all that, it's seriously the question of, what's their excuse? What is their excuse for their screw-up? They had 6 years to develop this game. 6 years. And to people who say, oh, they couldn't have started till later, blah, blah, blah. Literally, they announced that the work on the next Halo game started literally before Halo 5 even released. So, I don't even want people to go down that route. And the game had 6 years to develop. That is more than any other average AAA game. Most AAA games will get, at most, 3 years. Maybe 4 if an extreme circumstance happens. And that's it. That's all they get. 343 got 6 years. Over half a decade. Let that really sink in for you. Think about how many Halo games released in 6 years. That's the amount of games, if you take, 2004 to 2010. Bungie was able to release Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach. 4 Halo games. And even if you want to say Halo ODST wasn't a full Halo game, that it was just a side one or whatever, and basically was just a glorified Halo 3 DLC, fine. That's still 3 Halo games. Still 3 full-budgeted Halo games that came out with all the expected content. That was the standard given at the time. And not only did the next Halo game live up to that content, it actively exceeded it. But now, it's like now at 343, we can't even expect them to be able to simply release a game that is finished, that has the staples, just the basic staples of Halo. I'm not even talking about, Grifball or anything like that. I'm talking, we're almost a year in since this game came out, and we don't even have Forge. We don't even have frickin' Infection. We don't even have a file share. We don't even have any of these type of stuff. And now they want to emphasize that where we can't even have a good progression system anymore. At least Halo 5 gave us individual expression. Now, it's no, everything has to be restricted behind a bunch of armor coatings and whatever else. And now 343 wants us to still pay money for this crap? I'm sorry, but no. No, I'm not going to. That is utterly ridiculous. That is such an utterly ridiculous notion, and I cannot even believe that the few people that remain consistently playing this game are freaking doing that. And look, I'm not saying that to, like, actively shit on people, okay? Like, if you like Halo Infinite, all the power to you. But it's like, do you not think for 1 second that maybe, just maybe, 343 isn't living up to the standards of the type of game that you deserve? Have you not thought of that? Like, you know, have you not thought of how much all these different game modes and different map types and all that would benefit you? But it's clear 343 hasn't. It's clear 343, yet again, just doesn't get its priorities straight. And at this point, I can't say that it's even out of stupidity or ignorance. I can't even say that. Because it's clear to me that after 6 years of development and almost a year of post-launch support, and this, they can't even give us more than, what, 2 maps and a bunch of extra, like, cosmetics that are part of a battle pass, and that's it? That's it. That's all you got. And maybe, what, 1 new game mode that's basically just another glorified version of... which is basically just a worse version of Breakout from Halo 5? Yeah, no, fam, that's just... that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable no matter which way you slice it. And, gentlemen, I've reached an end point where I can no longer have faith in 343 to fix this. You know, for the longest time I did. I had the longest time that it may take a while, but they would eventually get their act together. But now, I don't have that anymore. Because now it has been a decade since 343 has taken over this franchise. It's been over a decade. 343 now has acquired, like, an ownership of Halo that is basically, because if you think about Bungie starting Halo's development back in, like, what, 1998 to 1999? And it ended in 2010. Bungie only had it for, what, like 10 to 11 years? 343 has now had Halo just as long, if not longer, than Bungie did. And yet, after 3 games, 4 if you want to include the Master Chief Collection, and they can't even get a single original Halo game just down. They can't get a single one to understand what makes Halo what it is. And they still want me to believe, oh no, like, the good stuff is coming, like, you know, it's all gonna be fixed soon. When it's like, my number one question I keep asking is, why couldn't you have done it right before? You know? Why couldn't you? Because, yeah, maybe in a year, maybe in another year, they'll get everything in. Maybe 1 year. Heck, I'll even be generous. Maybe they could even accomplish it in 6 months. Maybe Season 3 will be it. Maybe that'll be the thing where everything will start unleashing at once. That's why I keep hearing from people is like, Season 3 is going to be when Halo Infinite truly begins. Okay, so Halo Infinite truly begins, what, a year after the initial game release? 9 months after the campaign came out? Is that where we're at now? Like, let's put this into perspective. Let's compare this to a restaurant. That would be like the equivalent of, like, you paying for, like, let's just use an example. Let's use, like, Chick-fil-A. Everyone likes Chick-fil-A nowadays, it seems like. So, alright, let's just say you ordered a combo meal at Chick-fil-A. You order your freaking chicken sandwich, your french fries, and your drink. You know, pretty basic stuff. Now, imagine if at Chick-fil-A, the only thing that you got was your french fries. And your drink's not ready, and your sandwich's not ready, and they say, oh, yeah, you paid like $10, okay, no big deal. No big deal, you paid like $10 for a full meal. Just wait about 1 year, and then we'll have your sandwich and your drink ready. You think that's gonna be acceptable? Now, I know what people are gonna say. They're gonna say, okay, that's fast food. That's not a fair one-to-one comparison. Fine, let's run with that, okay? Let's compare that to, say, you order a piece of machinery off eBay. Let's just say you get a new car. You take your car to the dealership, and you say, hey, I need a new set of tires. They say, okay, we can get 3 tires in now. We want you to pay for all 4 tires, but you only got 1 tire right now. And we'll get our next tire soon, but it's only going to take another, like, 2 months. No one is going to realistically do that. No one is going to realistically wait on that while already paying the money for all 4 tires. They will realistically just go to a different dealership. And that's where we're at with Halo. That's where we're at with Halo. And now the Defenders, the only thing they have left to fall back on is the tired old saying, the whole, oh, if you don't like it, just don't play it. That's where they're at now. Because they understand they have no other defense. But it's, as I've mentioned several times in so many, like, videos. And I'm sure it's something many other Halo YouTubers have covered. I know Fabian and the Actman sure as heck has. Is that people aren't liking it. People aren't playing it. Halo Infinite, when it first launched, was literally second place. Second place as the most played game on Xbox. Because people did like it initially. People liked it a lot. You know, it was literally the second most played game on Xbox. The only game that was ahead of it was Fortnite. And even later on, as the Steam dialed down, it still maintained a consistent being in the top 5. For a period of about maybe a month. Even that's being generous, but you know, what's wrong with it? And then after that point, it just kept going down, and down, and down, and down, and down, and now, Halo Infinite literally has, like, a population that is dead low, and literally has the amount of looking for group posts that are comparable to a game like Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is a game that came out in 2017, and a game that lost its online, that basically no longer received developer support after March of 2020. And we have Halo Infinite comparable to that when it's not even a year old. And 343 just doesn't see the problem with that. Microsoft doesn't see the problem with that, that their flagship title has just fallen into such obscurity. And I can no longer accept that. And, like, guys, I kind of, like, you know, I hope you kind of understand, despite how calm I come across, it frustrates me to my core, but now I'm just at the point where I'm no longer, like, I'm not even angry enough. Like, I don't even have it in me anymore to just act angry at the game. I don't have it in me anymore to use the kind of like passionate rage that I had during Halo 5. Or back when the Master Chief Collection was broken. Because back then, back when I had that passionate rage, I still had enough hope going for the series that, yeah, I kind of yelled at them, I kind of, you know, got pissed, but I did so because I still had enough faith in 343 where it's like, look, man, I gotta be kind of, you know, it's the tough love. You know, it's the tough love. I gotta kind of come across as a little bit cruel and mean because that's the only, you know, I have to send the message. But now, I don't even have that going for me. I don't even have that kind of anger for this anymore. Because now I've reached the point where Halo Infinite, through its lack of support, through its fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Halo Halo, because I still hear 343 constantly saying how much Halo Infinite is emphasizing being a competitive game, blah blah blah, when that was never what Bungie intended Halo to be. And if 343 gained any true semblance of how a Halo game is made, they would understand that. That they would understand that what Halo was, back when Bungie made it, was that Halo was supposed to be to Xbox what Mario was to Nintendo. You know, like this fun party game that people could just get together, screw around, have fun with. while at the same time having a fun, gravitating like campaign with a kick-ass story about you playing as a super soldier in green armor saving the universe. And now 343 can't even do that right. 343 can't even emphasize that. And at this point, there's just not even enough. There's not even enough for me to truly say that I have hope for it. And it's at this point, I can't fight for this series anymore. Even taking away just how old I've gotten with college and everything else, it's just the fact that now Halo has strayed so far from the values that I loved it for that it doesn't even feel like the same series to me. And it's tragic to me. It's tragic to think that a game that pretty much made up my childhood, because Halo wasn't just some run-of-the-mill shooter game for me. It was literally my favorite video game franchise. It was my favorite video game series. It was the thing I essentially grew up on. And to see me, you know, where I am now, like if I went back pretty much almost, for me to go back, like if I went back like 15 years ago and told my younger self that this is where Halo would be, I'd be laughing. I'd be seeing myself as like a crazy person. But that's where we're at now. That's where we're at now because it's shown that 343 just no matter what just doesn't give a crap. And what makes it worse is that I knew they had it in them. They had it in them to craft something unique and special because they did that with things like the Halo 4 campaign. And when they finally got their act together to support the Master Chief Collection. Heck, even Halo 5 showed hints of that through some of its post-launch support, because once when it got out all the content that was just, you know, expected in the game to begin with, they released new stuff, things like Warzone Firefight, things like the custom browser, which was the first time any Halo game did it, and they emulated it in the Master Chief Collection. And they worked to improve so many game features like Forge and all that, and even though it sucked Halo 5 didn't come with all the content at launch, 343 at least worked their butt off to get everything out on time. They made sure not to pass their deadlines on when this content was supposed to release during the post-launch, and they made sure that it was the best it could be. You know, Forge released 2 months after Halo 5's release, and Halo 5 had less than 2 consecutive years to properly develop itself. What's 343's excuse now? And it's shown to me that they either can't or won't do it, either out of laziness, incompetence, or, and honestly, I've grown to believe in this third theory more and more each day, is that they just don't care. That as far as they're concerned, what Halo was just doesn't matter to them. And that the only thing they will define Halo as now is just this crappy B sci-fi shooter that they can just make money off of and then just leave and call it a day. And that's a shame when I think about everything this company was capable of when they did things right. And I thought that if there was one thing I used to be able to say about 343 was that, yeah, they made a lot of mistakes, but at least they cared to correct them. But I just don't even see that anymore. And it's for that reason that I can no longer say that I'm really even a Halo fan anymore. Because I'm not a Halo fan in the way that 343 defines it. Or how the newer fan base basically defines it, where it's like if you say anything bad about the 343 games, then, oh, you're just a hater, you're just someone that, you know, you're being too hard on them, blah blah blah. You're just being a terrible person because you're a hater. And you know what? If not accepting mediocrity, if actually asking and demanding 343 to actually live up to Halo's namesake, if getting them to actually take responsibility for their shortcomings rather than just make excuses for it, and them actually work to bust their A's to correct those mistakes, if that makes me a hater, then yeah, like, fuck yeah, I'm a hater. Because I hate the stage that Halo's in. I hate it with a passion. But now I don't have the energy for it anymore. I have too much other things in my life to invest in, both within real life and even just within video content, fiction, anything else. And it is for that reason that I can no longer hold on hope for this game. And from this point forward, I will not be making any content related to Halo Infinite. Maybe I will change my mind if 343 actually gets their act together, but I am not holding my breath. And considering how far Halo has strayed from the game franchise that I loved since I was 8 years old, I ain't holding on to that either. Ultimately speaking, and I know I need to stop, because at this point, if I continue down this path with Halo Infinite, it is causing me not to look so fondly of the games that I grew up on. Now, when I see Halo 3 or Halo 2 or any of the Halo games on the Master Chief Collection, I don't think, oh yeah, let's have a fun game on Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo Reach, do a mission on Combat Evolved. It's like now, I don't think that anymore. I look at the game and I almost feel slightly disgusted. And the thing is I know that's not the fault of the Bungie games. I know it's not. Because I love those games with a passion, and to this day, I know when I'm in the right mindset, I still do. But now, I can't play those games without associating it with what 343 has done to butcher this franchise. And I can't stand by it anymore. I can't make excuses for them. I can't invest my time to try to make theories on how they will fix things. Because at the end of the day, I have come to accept the truth that many people have at this point. For me, it just took a lot longer. And that truth is, they're not going to fix it. They're not going to truly make Halo this great thing. And at this point, I've come to the conclusion that the two best things that could happen to Halo would be either for it to be in the hands of a company that is actually competent and gives a crap about the integrity of this series, or Halo needs to finally be put to rest. And to allow Bungie's legacy, the remaining bit of it that actually mattered, the little bit of it that survived and didn't get butchered, to not go unscathed any further. And that's my view. That's how I feel. And, you know, people can try to change my mind, they can call me whatever they want, I don't care anymore. It's sad that I've gotten to that point. It's sad I've gotten to the point where now I feel so empty when thinking about a series that I once loved more than almost anything in this world. A game that literally helped rescue me from my depressions that I was feeling in both middle and high school. It's sad to me to think that now that legacy, that idea of what Halo used to be to me is nothing more but a distant memory. And now, I'm at the point where I just know I owe nothing to what 343 has done. And as much as it may pain me to come to this truth, I don't owe any more to Halo. For what it's worth, I will probably try to continue my retrospective series on all of the original Halos, but I'm probably going to make it much shorter than I originally intended. And I will probably only cover the Bungie games, and maybe, if I am feeling generous, Halo 4.
What an extraordinary weapon.
Because I can't associate my love for this series with what 343 has done to it any further. And hopefully, if more fans can take the red pill and wake up from this blatant lie, hopefully they'll think the same thing. So that way 343 will either truly get their act together, or they won't have the money to make it any worse. Until next time, gentlemen, this is King Orange signing off. Peace.